and welcome back to A World of Pets on YouTube, where we discuss health and wellness, charities, and everything you want to know about the furry, scaly, wonderful additions to your household. And it is sponsored by A World of Ability with Emily, is my amazing engineer. It's a World of Ability podcast. And I really appreciate her effort in taking care of this. And our second sponsor is debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com. And I'm currently house sitting for one of my friends that's in rehab, house sitting his pet, little Ginger. And so if she acts up a little bit, because she did last time, I'll give you a screenshot of her. But anyways, tonight I was expecting my buddy Chris to come on. Still waiting on him to get backstage and have Emily bring him on. And we're going to talk about having lost and loved and having new ones in our lives and how that engages us in an emotional manner. So I'll start with myself and just give my whole backstory. I was not allowed to have a pet when I was growing up. My sister had a parakeet, but my parents didn't like that she made a mess and all that stuff. So I was never allowed to have a dog, never allowed to have a cat. I used to go over the pond and catch tadpoles and lizards, and I'd have to keep them outside. I could never bring them inside and raise them fully and wholly. And that was, it is what it is. When you're that age, you're young. I was probably, I don't know, 5 to 7 years old. And I didn't really have an emotional attachment to pets. And so fast forward to me getting married in 2008, and my wife went on the road driving the truck, and she came back after about a year. She had a little teeny tiny little teeny tiny little dachshund named Daisy, and I fell in love. And I fell in love with the breed a long time ago, even prior, because I was in carpet installation, and a lot of my customers had pets, and the dachshunds were just my favorite. They just, they have that special love in them. And so, anyways, Daisy, she grew on me so fast, so fast. You can't even tell the emotional connection that happened immediately. And then I was like, well, I need to get one of my own. So I went and I got my own little long haired dachshund, and his name was Duke. So I had Daisy Dukes. And if you guys know the Dukes of Hazard from growing up, that was why they got named that. So um, it was just a fun time to have two puppies at the same time and raise them. And I was living in Woodland Park, and we kept having really heavy snow that year. Ginger, what are you yelling at? And I remember one of the funniest things about little Duke is that when it snowed, he would just run out and he'd dive into it. But he would submerge himself into the snow and then jump out of it and then jump out of it and jump out of it. And I didn't have a good phone with a camera back then, so I don't have any video footage of him doing it. But I've seen a lot on the internet, and I just love that. It just takes me back to having him. And he was my first dog that I had from a puppy, and it was so special because it was like raising a kid, and the connection that you can develop with a child is amazing as well. My daughter and I, she's 28 now. We're best friends, and so it's just it's just an amazing connection that pets can give you to give you the reality of life and creation and all the wonderfulness that you can experience. And um, I think the most important part of all this was that um, when my wife went on the road again, um, Daisy ran away. And so we didn't have Daisy anymore. So we rescued a dachshund off of Fort Carson, a military base near my house in Colorado Springs. And her name was Bella. And the family couldn't afford to pay for her vet bills. Fortunately, at the time, we were able to do that. She had worms, and so she was swollen, and it was kind of swelling her rib cage a little bit. So we got her in right away, got that taken care of, and they were my boy and girl for a couple months and a couple years actually, and I think it was around. You weren't there. I know the timeline. Sorry, that's Ginger. It's the dog I'm watching. Anyways, sometime around I think 2011 or so, that Bella got pregnant with uh, a litter of one, and that would have been my one-eyed dog for the one-eyed man, and that'd have been Peyton Poo. Looks like Chris is in the show now. You can jump in anytime. I'm just giving the bio of my puppy dogs, and then we'll get into your part of the show. Uh, and So I raised Peyton Poo. Duke lived to 13. Bella lived to about 11, and Peyton lived to 16 years old. And the only reason he was taken out is because he got ate by a big dog and got his jaw broke because he likes to pick fights like his daddy. So unfortunately, I don't have Peyton Poo anymore, and that's why we have uh, the spirit of Peyton Poo on my uh, thing here. Welcome in, Chris. Chris, give us your background. Tell me first about your business. That's where we're going to start, so we can get you some advertisement in. I want to sponsor you, and then we'll get into your experience with your dogs.
All right. Um, well, I've always been working on cars for since at least 1982, and my mom gave me a toolbox to fix hers. So um, I floundered around with that. I've had different pets. I've had a rat, pet rat, a hooded rat, very pretty little hooded rat. Um, I've had tabby kit, tabby cats. The hooded rat was I named it Jenny Lynn. I had it when it was a baby, um, and then my mom's uh, short-lived marriage to an abusive man let my animal go. Um, and I had a cat. The cat was let go. Um, I had two dogs. One was named Poochie. One was Coco. Coco had babies. We gave them all away. Poochie was really good at catching a frisbee, so we
Hmm.
were always playing frisbee with the dog. Um, they were not very big. They were mixed breeds. Coco was kind of maybe at the time. I'm not a very big kid. At the time, I'm like 6 or 7 years old, and I remember the dog being, at least past my knees in height, but I know she wasn't that big of a dog. She was pretty small, and Poochie was a little bit bigger. But my mom and dad went through a divorce, and he got rid of the dogs, so I didn't have the dogs anymore. And then my mom and I just had cats periodically. Um, so I moved to Oklahoma, and um, after moving to Oklahoma, my mom had me fix her car. It was um, alternator needed to be rebuilt, so I rebuilt that. And I was very much mechanically inclined, so I was always taking things apart and putting them back together, trying to make stuff work. Um, then brought into various pets in my life. I've always enjoyed dogs. I like cats. Cats are kind of fun to play around with and tease, and make, chase things, be it laser lights or yarn or whatever. And um, I ended up having an affinity for dogs. I just was always like attached to dogs, and always wanted one day to have my own dog. So
Mhm.
I got married. By the time I was married, I was already a certified technician in 2001. And my wife and I, um, she was dead set on getting her border collie back. It was in Missouri. And so we got her border collie. We went out and we found someone giving away cats, and we got an all black male cat. I named him Jeter. Um, and he weighed about 19 pounds.
That's a big
And
cat.
yeah, he was 19 pounds. And we were forced to declaw him and neuter him and all that. And it was always kind of funny to watch him try to chase things without his front claws to be able to hit corners. He was just not a really good balanced cat without claws on the front. So he was never allowed outside. Um, but he aged till he was 21 years old, I think.
Wow.
So he lived a long time. Um, he lived a very long time. And then my wife and I ended up getting another border collie. She had a border collie named Rover, and he lived to be, I think, 16, 14, 14 or 15, somewhere around there. And she buried him and got another dog. And then she and I ended up getting into a divorce. And during our years, I wanted to open up my own shop, my own business. So I made a confession of myself that I'm going to open up a shop before I turn 50. And I did that confession. I think I was in my mid 30s when I said that. And it's always been a passion of mine to open up my own place. So I, my wife and I ended up couldn't not being able to really make things work between us. We had 4 children together, and we had 2 dogs and 2 cats. Um, well, the black cat's name was Jeter, and she named him after the baseball player Derek Jeter. And Priscilla was the other cat. I named that one. And then we had a little, I can't tell what kind of dog she was, but her name was Daisy. And she had like really long hair, and she was about the size of a dachshund. But she was a little shorter bodied with a little bit longer legs. And she was basically Oreo colored, black and white with like, you know, cookies and cream. And she's a really cute dog. I think she's still around. She's with my ex. And and then we had our divorce. We moved down here in Colorado Springs. Well, she moved down here first, kind of forced me to move down here. And I moved here in November of 2017. She had all the animals, um, and then in 2018, I opened up my shop, and I was ready to go ahead and do that. I didn't have a wife in the way of making that decision, so um, started my shop. And after I started my shop, my kids pestered me to get a dog. So we went to the Humane Society, and I picked up a little dog that I don't know what he was, but he was
Hmm.
like he was like a Chihuahua, and
He was Pooh's friend. He was Peyton Pooh's friend, is what he was.
but he was cool. He was all right. I think he was traumatized growing up. He seemed to be about 5 or 6 years old when I got him,
Hmm.
and uh, they said they found him in Falcon or something like that, and he was untouched by any veterinarian. He had never didn't have a chip, didn't have nothing, no neutering, nothing.
Wow.
And so they picked him up and they fixed him all up, and then put an ad out for him. And then I went to the Humane Society just to look at all the different dogs with my kids, and we did it, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weekends in a row. And the last time I was feeling more pressure to just not leave there without a dog. So
Right.
so I went. I was telling the kids, I'm like, I don't want a really big dog. I mean, it's a lot of poop and hair, and got to feed them, 60-pound bags of food all the time. And I'm living in an apartment, and I'm like, man, it's just not enough room for me and him in that place. It's just not going to happen. And so I saw the dog, and the kids wanted to name him something else. I didn't. I don't remember what they wanted to name him, but I decided on naming him Paco. Um, this little Mexican named dog, and it's Spanish for Paul. So, um, so I named him that, and I think we bonded pretty well for the most part. He he didn't really take to anybody else really well. Caitlin was constantly tugging on him and trying to pet him and hold him and everything, and he was like always growling at her. And I'm like, I'm not going to have any sympathy for you, Caitlin, if he bites you, because you're annoying him, And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a constant fight with her. She was young and just felt like she wanted to attach herself to the little dog. So, uh, but I turned him into a camping buddy, and so we were going to the mountains every periodically to go camping or whatever. We'd take Paco with us, and I'd go by myself sometimes too. But as it turned out, I went up there one late afternoon, and he got out, and I thought he was still being monitored. I was watching him, and I got busy doing my own thing, trying to get set up and everything, and I forgot about him. And then I turned after I was taking a breather. I'm like, "Where'd he go?"
Mm.
And I didn't realize that he was missing. And so um, I cried out to him, and he never came back. And I spent a few hours driving around the roads trying to see if I could spot him somewhere. And I couldn't find him. I mean, it was getting dark out and everything. So that was up in Woodland Park off of Rampart
Yeah,
Range. So
I remember that day because you called me or you texted me and you said he's gone. I can't find him anywhere, and my heart broke at the same time. I thought that was horrible
I was at the
and
McDonald's when I said that.
terrible.
I couldn't drive around anymore. I stopped in at the McDonald's in Woodland Park, and I just sat there and just I was tore up, man. I didn't know where to go or what to do. Yeah, I just broke up with my girlfriend, and I couldn't call out to her because she always scared the fire out of me, anger bursting out and everything. But
Right.
yeah, I didn't know what to do. I I went up there a few times to try to find him. I couldn't locate him anywhere. So I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
Mm,
He's,
I'm so sad. Well, tell
yeah.
me about your new puppy.
So um, that was a few years ago. It was in 2021, and um, I wasn't really ready to get another dog. I wasn't looking to do that anytime soon. And then about 4.5, almost 5 months ago, um, well, back in September anyway, a relative was trying to get rid of puppies, and there was one left, and and it was offered to me free, no charge, just take it. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? You know, there was an idea. He's not going to be very big. He's orange colored with a little bit of white. He's a little bit larger than the other dogs. And I said, well, how big do you think he's going to be? And he's like, well, probably maybe 30, 35 pounds. Not, not, not really too big. So I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know what he looked like. So, um, brought, he brought the dog to me, when he was 6 weeks old. And, I got him a little collar. Let's see, I put it up here. I still have it.
Don't
Uh,
fit.
yeah, this is the last size that he was before I switched collars. So, but this was actually tighter than that when I got him. So I think it was probably close to like that when I got him.
Oh, he's a growing boy, huh?
He was growing pretty fast, and this was on its basically in its last loop, and it's getting tight. And I said, well, it's time to get him another collar. So I got him another collar, and I'll put this in my desk. And for some reason, he smells it in the desk, and he just scratching at the desk, wanting to get at the desk. And I'm like, what is the matter with you? Is there a rat or something in my desk? Because I've had mice here. And so I opened up the drawer, and I realized I had this in the drawer, and he was wanting to grab it, and I was like, whoa, no, 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 no. I don't want you tearing this thing up. He was he was like barking and whimpering, and he was like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I'm like, no. So I keep this out of his reach, and just I don't know, I just hold on to it, I guess, you know. It's a pretty cute little collar.
That's cute.
So
That's great.
so uh I've had him since then, and I built him a little bed to sleep in.
Aw,
So that's all wood. It's like a wood stool, and I put a wool blanket down there,
nice.
and just about outgrowing it. Um, I when I got him, I wanted to think of what kind of a name I was going to name him. So it took a few days doing that. I went online and looked up different dogs' names and stuff, and I came across Cyrus because it means the sun. So I figured it's a name for like an orange colored dog. So I named him Cyrus, and I felt like that perfect name for him.
That is
And
perfect.
so, and then I got a dog gate, so I put up so that he doesn't go and jumping all over customers or whatever and bolt out the door. So I got in that, and I put up a a hook on the wall with just the right length so that he can't pull the little ones out of the wall, which some of these are broke. Uh, that one, there was one that broke there, one that broke there, and then another one broke here and here. And so I just went and got a bigger hook, put that in there, and he hasn't been able to rip this off the wall.
That's good.
Yep. So I did that, and it's just the right length so that he only goes as far as he can to do potty. So, and he goes on the mat, poop and
Good.
pee. So that's his area. I've let him run around in the shop, and every now and then, for quite a while, he was just going wherever. He would go around the alignment rack or in front of the bathroom. He's did it a few times in front of the bathroom. Like after I go in there and I come out and I'm like, oh my God, that's right there in front of my door. So, so, but I think I broke him of that, so he doesn't do that anymore. And I change it every day, so probably about 5 or 6 times a day. So he poops and pees that many times a day. I let
He's a
him eat.
grown boy. That's why he's a grown boy.
Yeah.
And so, how would you describe your training for the pad training? Actually, this might be important for people.
Um, the training, uh, because animals are emotional creatures, they have emotional instincts on things. They're not rational creatures. They have to be taught that their feelings will guide them in making
Hmm.
decisions. So if you give them an experience that is a bad experience, they tend to remember that in their memory banks. That's why women are really good at remembering stuff that you were like, how do you remember that? Oh my God. But it's always based on how they feel, you know.
Right.
And so animals remember how they feel about people. So whenever they encounter a situation or something, their feelings remind them of that moment, and they make a decision based on the way they feel. And so I would make him, I would give him a bad attitude and everything. I would let him know that pooping in the area was bad, wherever area that was.
Hmm.
And, he would do the dog look, like he'd look at me with the side eye while looking away.
Yeah.
That's the side eye.
Yeah.
Oh, just kind of do that.
Yeah. The
And
about that look.
so, so, but when he did his business on the mats, I would make a bigger deal out of it than anything else. I'd be like, yeah, that's a good boy. All right, awesome, and pet him and give him some treats and all that stuff. But if he goes somewhere else, I go, no, that's bad. Don't do that. Oh my God, or whatever. Uh,
Yeah. The positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. Yeah, that definitely worked. I've done that with all my dogs, and
yeah.
yeah, it totally works because uh, Duke, Payton's dad, I was just got up to go to the bathroom, and he took a whole cheeseburger off my plate, and I came back, and he was eating, and I was like, "Oh heck no, not
Oh,
happening, not happening." So It's just because I was eating. I had it set on the coffee table. Dachshund's not so tall.
Yeah.
But that was the last time he ever did that. I'll tell you that much. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that I was abusive. It's just I was aggressive about it. I grabbed it out of his mouth and smacked his booty,
Yeah.
and that taught him a lesson. So that's
Yeah.
good, man. I'm glad you got that system set up great. Um, is there anything else you want to add? Anything about pets, first of all, because I want to give you a chance to talk about your business before we log off too.
Um, my thing, I guess, is the pets are like again. I want to reiterate that they're emotional beings. So if you are expressing, an emotional anxiety or um, uh, anger or frustration, screaming, yelling, the animals they pick up on that as a negative and
Mhm.
they try to figure out how to cope with it. And you
Yeah.
don't want them to cope in the wrong way and develop a bad behavior. So you got to be careful about your own attitude around the dogs and your own feelings around them because dogs can sense fear and they can sense love, they can sense affection, they can sense good reward, they have good senses for emotions, and they're very good readers for that. So
Yep.
just be careful about what your motivations are and drives are. Stay consistent about how you
Hmm.
teach them. Don't change your methodology because they could get confused as to what you're trying to communicate. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, um, the other than that, I got him to the point where he wants to play and chew on something. If my fingers are there, he does not touch them.
Hmm.
He does not touch them. I could put my fingers right in front of his mouth, and he will avoid any kind of biting
Yeah.
on my hand or whatever. So, but he does signal to me that he wants to play, and dogs communicate really well with their mouth as to what they want to do.
Hmm.
And so, but reading the dog's mood, the ears going back, the way they look at you, the curling of the lips, where the tail is sitting at, whether or not the tail is wagging. So you pay attention to all that stuff. They're all emotional signals, and
Hmm.
really pay attention to what they're expressing. And
I mean that whole last 3 minutes was that could be a whole another half-hour episode because
yeah,
I totally experienced that raising all my dogs from puppies. I've never raised a rescue dog. It's always been from a puppy, so I've had full control the whole time.
yeah,
But we do have people that come on this podcast that have raised rescue puppies and have dogs in training to be service dogs and all that kinds of stuff. So spread this far and wide because if people go back and watch further episodes, there's a lot more information on how, why, and who to contact, what regions you're in. We have nonprofits all over the country. We've interviewed people from the United Kingdom, all kinds of stuff. So, Chris, before we drop out, I want you to promote yourself and your business. He is my mechanic. He's my family's mechanic. We trust him wholly. It's Chris Pitts Automotive. You go on, brother. You tell him what you specialize in, what you love to do.
So I've been working on cars for a long time. I've been advanced level master certified since 2004. Never failed an ASE test since then. Um, I've got a strong aptitude for everything, a very analytical mind for everything. I want to know how it works, why it failed. You know, uh, I I've narrowed down my expertise to what I want to do this last year to just doing a lot of alignments and brakes and suspension stuff. I can and I am capable of doing everything. It's just very limited. So, you know, I started this in 2018. So my office isn't really big. I fit a couple of people in here just as a waiting and then whatever. And I've got a parts desk, and my certifications are on the wall over there. And as air conditioning and master certified. In the shop, I bought my own alignment rack. Invested $9,500 into having it and installing it in the shop. Um, I get customers that, you know, 1 to 2 a day, even sometimes as many as 10 in a day, and I have to do a lot of shuffling with that. Every now and then, I get some custom stuff in here. Um, I've got an '89 Mustang Fox body. Got electrical stuff going on with it. There's a lot of custom stuff that's been done on it already, but not by me. I've got to go back over what somebody else did to fix it right.
Yeah.
Um, so the shop's not too big, but I've got everything that I need in it. I've got every tool that, you know, is common to every car out on the road. Um, I've got welding equipment, press, scan tools, electronic diagnostics, air conditioning, suspension and steering. I'm at the top of the class in suspension and steering. I did a Mercedes E350 earlier today. I did a WRX. I did a Honda. What is it called? A 2020 Honda Type R. That thing was a mess. Some people are trying to make it all hot rod, whatever, and they didn't set it right. I set ride heights. Somebody's got, you know, custom suspension. I'll set the custom suspension the way it should be, so it rides nice and has a good stance. I've done lift kits on 4x4s, so I know pretty well what I'm doing. If there's something I can't handle, I'm not going to lie about it. I just tell you, I just don't know, and I'm not going to try and dive into it. But there's not too many things that scare me when it comes to working on the cars, except for
Right.
people that,
All right.
you know, people that
Yeah.
have broken stuff.
When I show up on your doorstep, I was like, oh man, here we go again. All
Yeah, always try to
right.
find a
Well,
way to help you out.
well, it's Pit Stop, PITTSTOP Automotive. It's in Colorado Springs. What street are you on? I forgot again. Is it Harvard?
No, it's Gunnison. So let me get.
Gunnison. That's right. Yeah, it's Gunnison. It's right. It's between Platt and South Circle. It's real easy to find.
Boulder and Platte.
PITTSTOP Automotive and Alignment, I think, is what you added to it. There you go, right there. And a good friend of mine, we're going to have him on some other podcasts, different channel. I used to have him on back in the day talking about religion and politics. And we're not going to shy away from that in the future, by the way. And we got some big things coming up. And so support Chris,
Oh,
support
words.
support Emily over at A World of Ability podcast on YouTube. Support debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com. And we will see you guys next Tuesday sometime. In the meantime, I love you all. We'll see you soon.
Peace out.